Hey everyone, welcome to the Let's Talk It Out podcast. I'm Alec Lifshultz, aka Trey Busy. You guys are listening to the 46th episode of the podcast. It's crazy to think that I'm 46 episodes in. But yeah, it's November 14th, 2019. If it's a beautiful Thursday. I'm very, very excited because I have a very special guest on. But before I get to that, I want to thank Concept the MC for coming on. Concept, I met him a few months ago. We've always coordinated trying to get him on and finally was able to make it happen. I'm very appreciative for him to finally be able to get on with me. But I want to bring in my special guest now. I mean, she's an educator. She's a mental health professional. She's a best-selling author. I want to welcome Joa Macnalie. And Joa, come on into the podcast. Tell people a little bit about yourself.
Hello. Thank you again, Alec, for having me on Let's Talk It Out podcast. This is my second time coming around, but I understand that this time you have your own platform, your whole thing to yourself. So I'm super proud of you and your growth. And a little bit about myself. My name is Joa Macnalie, as Alec just introduced me. I am a mental health I can't even speak today. A mental health professional, an author, an award-winning and best-selling author. I'm also a fashion stylist and consultant. I have my own company. And I'm excited to have this conversation and, to destigmatize mental health and what it is and how it's affecting our communities and what we can do to, stop the stigma.
Excellent. So, I mean, last time we had a conversation, Joe, I mean, remember you haven't even wrote the second book yet.
Yeah.
You haven't even wrote the second book yet, but we're gonna take it back a little bit. Before the best-selling author, before the inspiration to actually start writing. I mean, that's an amazing in itself. That's an amazing feat in itself. But we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to, what inspired you to get into the mental health field. We're gonna go to that part of your career.
So I've always kind of known that I wanted to be a therapist. I've known since I was 7, 8 years old. And I guess the motivations for that is having just been grown up from a dysfunctional family. I had an interest in understanding the why, understanding people's minds, people's motives and behaviors for why they do what they do. I don't talk about this often, but it's something that is starting to come up as I do a lot more interviews and just share more about myself on a personal level. But I grew up, I was born in Haiti, and then I moved to the States when I was 5. My parents were married for about 24 years before they divorced, but it was a very toxic relationship, and I understood that at a very, very young age. In fact, I remember telling my mom, and me and my mom still talk about this till this day. When I was six years old, I remember asking her why she didn't divorce my father. Now I know what the research says about divorce and single parent households, but it's really just as toxic. A 2-parent household is just as toxic when it's dysfunctional, when there's abuse there, or more toxic really than a single parent household. So just trying to understand my father's motives and behaviors and why he acts the way that he does kind of pushed me forward into the mental health field. And my first psychology course that I took, I was fortunate because the high school I attended in New York, H. Frank Carey High School, you were technically in high school at 7th grade because 7th through 12th grade was under one building. So my first psychology course I took in 7th grade, and I really fell in love with it and just continued forward from there. It was always something that I knew that I wanted to do. So, finished high school. I went straight to college, got my bachelor's degree in psychology. When I was done, I graduated in 2012 from Southern Vermont College in Bennington, Vermont. And then from there, I went to get my master's at Liberty University 2 more years and got my MA in psychology and just been doing that, working as a behavioral therapist and a substance abuse counselor.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, because my parents, they got divorced as well. They were together for over 20 years. And a lot of times we don't understand when we're younger, when we see it happening, we don't understand the full scale of things that led up to the divorce. We just hear the arguing and we hear the fighting, but we never ask ourselves, why are they disagreeing? Not on the surface, not why they are arguing. Like, say somebody forgot to put somebody's clothes in the dryer. God forbid a full blown argument starts because of that, right? It's kind of funny to sound. It sounds silly, but a lot of times with long term relationships, something like that could
Can
spark that,
trigger. Yeah.
right? But a lot of times, trauma, early on trauma, and that they experienced when they were kids, that they were exposed to when they were kids, they never sought
Dealt
therapy
with.
for, never dealt with, and never got healed from, and they project it onto each other, and they don't realize it.
Yeah.
So, again, props to you for wanting to go into that field and help people out. Being a behavioral therapist, it's not easy at all. It's not easy to sit there and listen to people tell you their life stories, and them tell you what they're battling or what they've seen, or what they're trying to cope with. Though that's a very hard thing to do.
Oh, it
Honestly.
definitely is. And the one thing I found about psychology and just mental health in general, the field of mental health, is one, it's not for everybody, and really you just have to be built for that kind of career. Then the other thing about that is a lot of people have what mental health therapy or therapy therapists are, or what they do. They have there's stigma around mental health, but there's also stigma around therapists and what they do and what that looks like. So, a lot of people think that therapists are like advisors, or they tell people what to do. You come in, you tell me what you're struggling with, and then I give you all the answers and tell you what to do, which is completely not what it is, right? So, in my studies, I know that my professors did a really good job in instilling into me that therapy is really just you walking alongside a patient, right? So it's not up to me to tell you what to do about your situation. My job as the therapist is to give you skills for you to be able to navigate around whatever it is that you're battling, right? So it's me helping you to come to a conclusion about your life and the decisions you need to take to move forward. But it is never about me telling you, okay, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. That's not a job of a counselor. And also, the other thing, you said it right. It is very hard if when you're working as a therapist to have I had a caseload of about 20 clients when I was beginning, each with different stories, each with different backgrounds, each with different, all kinds of things, disorders even. And it could be taxing for you to listen to that all day long. So there's self-care for the therapist has to come into play, so they don't experience burnout, and they don't experience trauma from listening to other people's stories. There's secondhand trauma. There is that. So that's a really good point.
Well, yeah, I mean, one thing I really enjoy about what you just said is the fact that a lot of times people think that they think when they go to see a therapist, they're going to get handed some type of cheat code book of like, okay, this is exactly what I need right now to understand everything that's wrong with me, and that I'm going to be fine now. Thanks for that.
Yeah, absolutely not. That's not. And if you're going to therapy and that's what your therapist is doing, I would suggest for you to find another therapist, because that's not what should be going on. The goal of therapy overall, and I tell that to my clients all the time, because when you're a good therapist and you do your job well, you'll find that your patients are, sometimes get attached to you, and they want to prolong therapy. The goal of therapy is for you to not be in front of me anymore, right? So when you come and you present your trauma to me, your story, or whatever it is that you want to work on, the overall goal is for me to give you enough skills, like I said, to give you enough ideas about yourself, empower you to be able to make decisions for yourself. If you're continuing to therapy for the rest of your life, I'm not doing my job as a therapist. The goal of therapy is to not have you here. We want to give you a healthy mind, and also, just like I said, skills to be able to navigate, any problem that you face with in your life. So
I'm going to go ahead and put you in the hot seat real quick.
yeah.
Joa. Okay. So let's say, I don't know, I'm a disgruntled teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they come in, and let's say I'm dealing with, I don't know, I have an anger problem, or something like that, and I come in there and I'm just mad because I'm forced to come here. My parents told me to come see you, and I'm put you inside the seat right now. You're in the seat. I'm on the couch. Okay.
Okay.
So and just, what would be the first thing you would say? Obviously, because I'm an angry teenager, I'm be a little bit reluctant to open up to you. I'm be a little bit more reluctant to like tell you what's
Absolutely.
going on. So I'm gonna sit there and just give you like a face. Just
Absolutely.
I hope I paint this picture good for you, right? So I
So
put you in.
I think the first thing that I might do is, I might thank the client or patient for coming in, and I would want to know what brings them to therapy. That's the first question you want to ask the patient or the client, however, you're comfortable calling them. What brings you to therapy? Right, then the disgruntled teenager, you probably lay it on me. I don't even want to be here. My parents made me do this, and da da da. You tell me all these kind of things, right? And then my next step I'd probably thank you for coming in. I want to validate your anger, right? I want to if you don't feel like, think about it, outside of therapy, if you didn't feel like doing something, right? You're not going to feel motivated to be there. You're not going to be happy about being there if you're forced to be there. So I would want to validate your anger. I could, could understand why you're upset if you didn't want to come to therapy. And then I might thank you for coming anyway. You know what I mean? So there's this level of validating the person's emotions, um, whether I agree with them or not, whether I think it's right or not, is not about me. It's about the person that's in front of me. And then the next thing I want to know from that is, what is their goal in therapy? What are they looking to get out of here? That's what I need to know, because I don't have any motivations as a counselor. I shouldn't have any motivations. My thought shouldn't be, oh, well, I'm going to change him from a disgruntled. I don't have any motivations. I want to know what is their goal of therapy. And then once I understand their goal, then it's about how I can help them meet that goal. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, just I'm sorry, I just kind of put you on the spot like that. I just wanted to, put
No, that's
put you in
fine.
the hot seat. I like to do that
That's
to people
fine.
sometimes, and I figured that you'll come through. Uh,
Well, thank you for your show of supporting me.
I'm just saying, man. But yeah, it's just like a lot of times, going back to what you said a few minutes ago, the goal of the therapist is to help people, put people in a situation to be successful. You're not gonna just give them just the cheat code. Like you're gonna what's the saying? How they say it? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
you can lead them to the water, but they have to make a conscious decision themselves to actually
Absolutely.
take in.
Absolutely. And whatever advice I might want, let's say, I was a therapist who wanted to give advice, I have to understand that what works for me, it doesn't necessarily work for anyone. So that's the danger of giving advice. So you're going to give advice based on experiences, right? Based on something you've experienced before, based on something that you thought that worked or didn't work. But that doesn't mean that it's not a one size fits all. Thing. So what might work for me in my life, it might definitely not work for you, because there are other circumstances around that are unique to you. So that's why it's never a good idea to give advice.
Yeah, you could just. I mean, I'm sorry for. I'm just still trying to kind of laughing at the putting you on the spot thing. That's still kind of funny. Um,
Well, I mean, that's good. I mean, you have to know that I know what I'm doing, right?
yeah, I mean, not me personally. I don't have to know, but I want the audience to know that you're not. This ain't no game.
The self-proclaimed mental health professional here. I've been trained in what I do. So
right.
yeah.
So, and I wanted to ask you. I mean, obviously, you had other dreams and aspirations, right? So, I want to ask you. We're gonna transition a little bit. What made you decide one day that, because obviously you had to have been watching from a distance, right? But I want to hear your I have got an idea kind of, but I want to hear what you have to say about it. What made you inspired you to write the Hero in the Helmet, your first book?
So to be honest, I really wasn't looking to write. I wasn't looking to become this author that I am now. I didn't have any dreams about it. Wasn't looking for it, to be honest. I was content in my work as a mental health professional. And actually my dreams and aspirations then was to get enough experience to then open up my own clinic. I always had inspirations to pursue my PhD in psychology so that I could do that. Um, and I came home from work one day. This is a true story. I came home from work one day, and I turned on my TV, and there was a special going on about Colin Kaepernick. And if you've ever watched those things, there's people on both sides saying, really supporting him, or they really hate him. And I just thought it was just so ridiculous that there was even a conversation about this. Like, this man's been vocal about why he kneeled, why he was protesting, why he's doing what he's doing. And despite that, people still wanted to make their own narrative about what he's doing. He's said countless times that he's not kneeling to disrespect the military veterans or the flag. It wasn't even about the flag ever. But it was about police brutality and racial injustice, and people would still just take that and turn it to whatever they wanted to hear. So I just remember thinking, like, this is so ridiculous. Like, someone should just write a book and put it in its simplest terms. And that's when the idea just kind of just found me. I wasn't looking for it. And then, I feel like God was leading me to that. And I remember thinking, like, okay, what would I even say? Like, I've never written a book before that. I always kept diaries and journals and things like that. I'm a great writer, I think. In schools and just in classes and things like that, in English classes. My teachers always had good things to say. In the 7th grade, one of my teachers, Miss Drexel, my English teacher, proposed to my mom to skip me to the 10th grade because I was like bored in the class. So like I enjoyed writing, but I never saw myself as a published author. And I just remember thinking about the idea, well, what would I say? And curiosity really just kind of led me to just go with the idea. I started just researching everything that I could about Colin Kaepernick, putting it down on a piece of paper, and then really the book. I mean, this sounds weird, but I say this all the time because it's what happened. I feel like the book just wrote itself. Like, I feel like the book was waiting to come out anyway, and it's a conversation that needed to be had anyway. So it just kind of wrote itself. And it's a children's book, but what I really like about my book is that it's not just for children. I tell that to people all the time. They say, "Oh, you're a children's author." Yes, but this is not just a children's book. Anyone can pick this book up and benefit from it, especially adults who are in denial and don't want to have the conversation about racism. This is also a great book for them to start with. The way that it's written, it's colorful. It's in a poem, in a lyrical poetry. The illustrations, Joa Hernandez, my illustrator, did a fabulous, amazing job with all of my illustrations. And all of those illustrations, too, are original thoughts and ideas from me. And she just did an excellent job just bringing them to life. But it's a book that everyone can enjoy, young, old, black, white. But I wrote it with the intent, that Black history would be studied the correct way, because educational systems are not doing a good job teaching Black history to Black and brown children. Black and brown children need to see themselves validated and represented in the books that they're reading, in the topics that they're studying. And not in February, not in 28 days in February. But Black history, understanding that Black history is timeless, and that Black history is American history, and also that slavery is not Black history, but an interruption in Black history. And then the other thing about that as well is just noticing the pattern of how Black historical leaders are commemorated, and that's only when they die. When they're alive and actively doing the work, they're vilified. So, it's about changing the narrative. It's about changing the way that educational systems are teaching Black history to our children.
It's so funny, man. I've never thought about the last thing you just said, and when you said Black historical leaders are always vilified when they're alive.
Yeah.
And it's like, That's it's weird. I've never thought about that, but it's 100% true. They're always vilified when they're alive, but as soon as
And
they pass
then
away, they get
they're American
statues.
heroes.
They
Martin
get
Luther King, Jackie Robinson, Muhammad Ali. You can go on and on and on. They hated these people when they were alive, actively doing the work. Martin Luther King has his own day, and we observe Martin Luther King Day now, and we study him, as a great leader, in which he is, right? Nothing to take away from him. But the fact of the matter is that y'all were trying to get rid of him. He was assassinated. You know, they were trying to do all kinds of things. The FBI were trying to do all kinds of things to get rid of him. But as soon as he's dead, he's a great American hero, and that's problematic for me.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. So I mean, it's kind of, and it's ironic a little bit. Like, we did talk about doing this interview, but around the same time, we started talking about doing this interview today. Colin Kaepernick got invited to work out for teams, right? Isn't that kind of funny?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It's I feel two-sided about the whole situation because, again, this man was blackballed, or whiteballed, as I like to say, out of the NFL for peacefully exercising his constitutional right. Like I need people to understand and wrap their minds around that. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like it, but you do have to recognize that this is his constitutional right to do what he's doing. And the fact that people are angry about him exercising his right really lets us know where we are as a country. That's first of all. But he now does not have a job and hasn't had one for 3 years because he's protesting issues that are prevalent in our society, issues that can't be ignored. Police officers are killing Black people at a high rate, unarmed citizens at a high rate. And it's not even something that we can pretend is not happening anymore. Look at Tatiana Jefferson. That was the last, right? That's the latest victim, sitting in her house playing video games with her nephew when a police officer goes and shoots her through her window. That's bizarre. And Colin Kaepernick is protesting those things and doesn't have a job because of that. So, of course, there's a side of me that absolutely wants him to, do the right, that wants the NFL to do the right thing. He shouldn't have ever not had a job to begin with. That I can't even wrap my head around. And it's a stain on the NFL for ever even coming to that decision. And then further by saying that he's not eligible, or he's not a good quarterback. Come on, we know that's BS. We know Colin Kaepernick is better than most of the quarterbacks that we're seeing right now. And I don't watch the NFL anymore. I haven't watched the NFL since Colin Kaepernick's been whiteballed. And I am so no cap, no NFL, and I recruit people. I actively recruit people to not watch the NFL. So yeah, there's a part of me absolutely that wants him to be reinstated because that's what he loves. Not really because I want him, but that's what he wants to do, and that's his love and that's his passion. And he didn't do anything wrong, and he should be playing. So if he wants to play, then I'm all for that. But then the other side of me is like trying to understand why now would the NFL hand out this proposal? I mean, it's just random. I was listening to Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp talk about this yesterday, and I'm just trying to put the pieces together and understanding what's really happening. Is this a fair chance? Is this a farce? Is this the NFL? Is this a PR stunt? Is this the NFL just saying, "Let's see, look, we gave him a chance and he wasn't ready," and this and that? I just don't know. I'm praying and I have the best wishes for him. I hope that he comes through and he's able to prove them wrong. But then again, I just don't know what the NFL is really up to. And the overwhelming discussion about it right now is that it's happening on a Saturday and there are games on Sunday. So what head coaches and GMs are going to be present to see him perform?
So it's funny you say that, Joel. Adam Schefter tweeted out not too long ago. He's like the prominent ESPN NFL reporter. He says, so far 11 teams: Arizona, Atlanta, Cleveland, Denver, Detroit, Miami, New England, New York Giants, New York Jets, Tampa Bay, and Washington already have committed to attend the Saturday workout that the league scheduled for Colin Kaepernick, and it's only Thursday per the league. So 11 out of 32 teams are for sure gonna be there Saturday.
I mean, I'm really just praying and putting in the atmosphere that it really works out for Colin. I really hope so. Um, he's said it. He's been vocal about it on Twitter, on Instagram, on his social networks that he's been practicing for 3 years and waking up at 5 a.m. and still conditioned and in shape. And I just pray for him that he just goes out there and he just shuts them up and he proves them wrong. I mean, I don't know what the NFL is up to. Really, I'm kind of just grossed out by the NFL, to be honest with you. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what comes of it, right?
We might have to do a follow-up podcast. So so the hero in the helmet was not your only work. I mean, since we, quote unquote, last interview, you wrote another book. The title of this book is called "B is for Brotherhood."
That's correct. So the hero in the helmet is like the beginning story of Colin Kaepernick. Just him from, as you know, tells us the story of his childhood leading up into that historical iconic moment when he decides to take a knee, and then just bringing out the issues. The book is designed to not give white people specifically, an out. To deny the racism that is just it's eating up our society. It's in your face, and people really love it. Like, I think um that this is, like I said, I think this is a book that people were waiting to have, like parents are waiting to have with their children, Black parents especially with their children. They didn't know how to have it, and that's the reviews that I hear all the time, is that this book allows them to be able to have the conversations with their children that they weren't able to have before. And then I followed it up with a sequel, the B is for Brotherhood book, which it paints a picture of the solidarity between brothers that supported Colin Kaepernick and his protests, like brothers like Eric Reed and Kenny Stills, Albert Wilson, who, even when Colin Kaepernick was whiteballed, continued to kneel, even amidst the new rule that the NFL tried to put in place that they'd be fined and they had to stay in the locker room. These men were brave enough to continue kneeling on the field. So it honors them, it honors their sacrifice and their courage to do the right thing, even in the face of just injustice. Also, B is for Brotherhood also has just different themes and different layers of how Black people experience racism. Barbecue Becky is in the second book. The racist stunt that H&M pulled with the coolest monkey in the jungle, and just overall just racism in fashion. Gucci, Prada, Montclair, right, with the black faces and everything else like that. Starbucks. Arresting those two men for sitting and having a meeting in Starbucks. So it just has layers to it, and also has a comparison to it. It also asks the readers to identify, well, what's the difference between Colin Kaepernick and Jackie Robinson, who's now in the Hall of Fame, who's now acclaimed as a hero? What's really the difference between what Colin Kaepernick is doing and what Jackie Robinson is doing? The only difference is that you guys, like I said before, you guys hail Jackie Robinson as a hero because he's dead. And in 30, 40, 50 years from now, the same will happen to Colin Kaepernick. God forbid something happens to him, he's going to be hailed as an American hero and is going to be remembered for his protests. So my book also the big moment or turning point in B is for Brotherhood is when Nike endorses Colin Kaepernick for their 30-year anniversary campaign, Believe in Something, even if it means sacrificing everything. And then what took place after he was endorsed, people burning their Nike gear that they already purchased in protest of that. The police association threatening Nike and writing a gross letter to them. So it highlights all of these things, and it really is history recorded live. It has Laura Ingraham telling LeBron James to shut up and dribble. It has Bob McNair making the comparison to allowing players to kneel is like letting inmates run the prison. That's unacceptable. And we have to be able to hold people accountable for the racist things that they're saying. And the way to do it is you have to know who these people are. It includes a fact sheet in the back, as I encourage children, parents alike, adults alike. You shouldn't be taking people's word for it. This is the age of information, research and make sure what you're hearing or being taught is the correct thing. So I also then followed it up with a national curriculum. Let me know if I'm talking too much too, because I feel like I'm talking too much, but
there's no such thing as talking too much in an interview.
So the national curriculum is designed to assist the readings in a way. I was thinking, I don't want these to just be good reads. I don't want people to just pick them up, read them, and say, "Oh wow, that was a really good book." Discuss the questions in the back and then put it down. I recognize that in order for the book to have its effect that I envisioned it for it to have, it needed a curriculum that teachers, educators could teach the way that I would teach it in my absence. And so I designed a curriculum that just came out in September, 2 months ago, to assist those readings. And it's a 6-week curriculum that has subject material in, English, language arts, history, arts, and just poetry, and just understanding what that means. And it's also designed, it's a tripartite. So it's designed to teach students, teachers, and parents. Learning has to hit those 3 parts, because if students are just going and learning in schools and then they're going home and let's say their environment is a racist environment, what does that learning really do for them at home if they can't bring it home and have those conversations? And so it's designed to include parents, teachers, and students all together. There's homework for parents, teachers, and students in the curriculum. So it's very involved. And one of my favorite things about the curriculum is that I realized that, we're forced. I mean, I remember being forced to do the Pledge of Allegiance and sing and do the national anthem. And I talk about the national anthem a lot when I do workshops, that it's a racist song. The third stanza, we don't sing it for a reason, because it's a racist song. And I personally refuse to stand up to the flag and pledge allegiance and sing the anthem. And then it led me to ask, how many Black people or people in general know the Negro spiritual, know the Black anthem, so Lift Every Voice and Sing is in the curriculum. We should be studying that too. Why aren't we studying that as well? So that's included there. And as I tell people all the time, my books and my curriculum are through a Black perspective and the Black experience, but it's not just for Black people. It's for everyone. It's really for everyone. But I do think that there are spaces and places that we have to occupy, and we have to narrate our stories if we want them to be taught the right way.
Well, that book sounds incredible. I'm at to go ahead and put that on my list of books to read. I have a huge list.
Well, I
books.
thank you.
I try to keep about 3 in rotation. So right now I got 3 going. So I gotta slowly but surely get through them all.
Yeah, I'm a big reader too.
Yeah, that's the only way to live, man. If people I don't know how people plan on being successful and they don't read. They're reading, and not just like reading, like just I don't know, like magazines or something. Like reading, man. Like get out there and like getting like these books. I like reading self-help books. I like learning from different psychologists, points of views and stuff like that kind of thing. I like that. Also, I mean, I'm not really a kid book person, but because you're a good friend of mine, and I'm gonna check out your book.
Well, that's the thing. So that's the thing I'm trying to tell you right now. It's not a kid book. Don't let that fool you. It's not a kid's book. It's just it's a book that needs to be read by everyone. Seriously.
Is there pictures in there?
There is pictures in it, but the pictures, let me tell you, the pictures are not like, la-di-da-di. They're pictures that make you think.
I'm kidding.
And also in therapy, linking that back to therapy, that's used in therapy, pictures and things like that. There are times when patients don't have words for things. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
pictures, that's a healthy part of therapy. So, I don't want people to downplay it and say, as I tell people all the time, yes, it's categorized. The genre is children's book, but I believe me, when I sign books to parents, they always make me laugh because I always ask them, who am I signing this to? And I assume that they want me to sign it to their children, and a lot of parents will be like, these are for me. I'll let them read it, but but they're keeping it. So when I say it's a book for everyone, I truly mean that.
All right. Well, two things. The first one is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to need my books to be signed as well.
You got it.
I need them to be signed to me. Uh, just want to say that first thing. Second thing is I'm kidding about the pictures thing. I'm just I like to joke around with you a little bit. I just a little
No,
humor.
I know it's all good fun. It's all good fun, but I tell people that though, because I don't want people to. A lot of people do say that, and then when they read it themselves, and they're like, "Oh, okay, now I see what you're saying." So that's why I was saying that.
So I wanted to ask you, what you saying you had a curriculum that you help write out for people to, follow from, but I want to ask you, what do you have going next? Like, what's next for you?
Wouldn't the world like to know? Wouldn't the world like to know? I'm actually working on 3 different projects. I can't go into detail about them,
Oh,
but
man.
there are 3 different projects that are going to come out in 2020, and they are going to. Let me tell you right now, there's some game changers. There's some game changers. So look out for 2020. McNally Books does not plan on stopping. We have our foot on the gas, and we're doing some amazing things and different projects that are really going to, like I said, are designed to change the world and shake the planet, and get people thinking, get people moving, get people doing, because that's what we want. We want people to take action. So these are definitely action-packed projects, and I'm just excited about what 2020 has to bring. Even though 2019 has been really a phenomenal year for me, um, and there's still a month and a half left. So I'm not counting 2019 out still. I know a lot of people are looking forward to 2020 and want the year to end, but I'm actually enjoying the ride, and I'm there till the end. And in 2020, when it does come, you can definitely look forward to seeing more of McNally Books.
And also, I'm looking forward to December 2nd. Uh, December 2nd.
Yes. Yes. So December 2nd, you're gonna be on my platform, Monday Matters.
Monday Matters is a show that Joa does on Mondays on Instagram Live. Uh, it's pretty much a motivational series she has, and she goes live on Instagram at 7 p.m.
Yep.
on Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, that's right.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that's 6 o'clock for us Chicago folks. I'm not sure if not everybody's knows time zones like that, but
Yeah.
6 o'clock our time, 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 4 o'clock Pacific Time. Okay, guys. Okay, so that's when Joa, she does a series on Instagram. Joa's Instagram account is Joa Joa dot Macnalie. That's Macnalia. I mean Lie. It's
Yes.
E at the end. Sorry about that.
It's fine.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to coming on to your platform. So
And I'm looking forward to having you for sure.
I try my best not to mess it up.
I think you'll be fine. Something tells me that you're just going to be just great.
So I wanted to ask you, Joel, do you have anything you want to share with the people before we get out of here? Any last words of encouragement or wisdom?
I would just, if people, well, I want to thank you, first of all, for having me on and, just allowing me to speak to the people about what it is that I do. If anyone has, any connections within the school systems or know any teachers and educators who are looking for relevant cultural pedagogy, tell them McNally Books has the tools that they've been waiting on. But also, I just want to encourage anyone who has a vision, who has a dream, who doesn't know how to get it off the ground or who doesn't have the resources. I really just want to tell you that you just have to use what's in your hand. The resources, the connections, they'll come, but you have to build it. If I know you guys hear it all the time. If you build it, they'll come. That's not just a cliche saying. No, you actually have to build it, and you're going to watch people, resources, connections, and everything that you need come together. you know, to bring you to your place of destiny and manifest your vision. So don't be afraid to try what it is that's been on your heart. Don't be afraid to just go. If it's a book that you want to write, don't worry about who's going to publish the book and who's going to illustrate it. I didn't know either when I started writing my book, but the first step is just writing. If music is your thing and you want to, get a recording deal, don't worry about that right at that part. Your first mission is to record music. Do record music so that when you do meet that person, then you'll have something to show them, right? I know you guys hear about what success is, but it's when opportunity meets preparation, right? So you have to be prepared. You have to be ready for what you're asking for. Otherwise, when the opportunity comes, you're not prepared and it moves past you, and God forbid that happens to you. So just do it, like Nike. Just do it. And if I could real quick, I just want to let people know where they can find me. You can go on www.joamacnalie.com. That's JOAMAC, N as in Nancy, ALIE.com. As Alex said, on Instagram, I'm Joa.McNally, same spelling. On Facebook, Joa Macnalie, and on Twitter, I'm Joa the author.
Well, we are Joa it out today. No, I'm kidding. Thank you for coming on to the podcast, man. I mean, I told you you're welcome to come on. I mean, whenever you want to talk about something, even if you just want to just talk, period. I mean, you already know, man. We talk all the time. I ain't gotta say what's already known, right? So
I appreciate it. I'm so looking forward to I'm looking forward to December 2nd. Really, I am. And my followers are looking forward to that. Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna put you on the hot seat too. No, I'm just kidding.
I perform pretty well under pressure, though. My listeners will say that. I'm pretty good at that. So thank you again, Joa. Thank you, guys, everybody who subscribed to the podcast. If this is your first episode you're listening to, thank you. I appreciate you listening in. Check out all the other episodes, man. It's a pretty good catalog. So, I'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.